Have you ever had a strong feeling about something, or maybe that something was going to happen, and you can't explain it, and maybe nobody believes you, and then it happens, and you think to yourself, am I psychic? So I cry, I get off the phone, pick up the phone, call my best friend, they let me go. You know what she says? You knew it. And I was like, yeah, I knew it. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is unlike any other that I've done in a very long time, and it is going to be all about intuition. I'm really excited to be filming this video. So many of you have requested it. It's going to be a mix of sort of like educational on the topic of intuition and also a story time of how I pretty much predicted that I was gonna lose my job. It was basically my intuition made me into a psychic, and I just knew that this was gonna happen. The point of this video and the goal is for you to reflect and think, has something similar happened to me? Have I ever had an experience where I just felt like I was psychic and couldn't explain why? I just want to help you guys get more familiar with your intuition and start learning how to trust it. I am by no means perfect, but it is something that I do keep in mind and keep in the back of my heart pretty much all the time. And I think it's something that's really important. That's why I'm so excited to share it with you guys. So when I posted my video about how I lost my job and how I was feeling, I mentioned that I kind of predicted that this was gonna happen. I had a really strong feeling that I was going to lose my job, and today's the day that I'm going to tell you guys that story. If this is the first video of mine that you're watching and you're like, what the heck is she talking about? I will link that video as well as some other videos for you to kind of get to know me down below. But yeah, if this is the first video of mine, hello, I would love for you to subscribe. This isn't my normal style of video, but please comment down below whether or not you're new. If this is something that you would like to see more of, I would love to branch into this topic and share more like spiritual, intuitive content on my channel. So let me know your thoughts, and without further ado, let's dive into the video. So maybe you're sitting there and you're like, I have never heard of intuition before in my life, or you've heard it, but you don't know what I'm talking about. So let's go through a quick overview of what is your intuition and why is it so important. I've got a guest here and she is chewing on a bone and it's very distracting. One time she did this in a video and you could hear it the whole time. So I'm just gonna put this away. The dictionary definition of intuition is the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. I think that's such a good description. Like, it's really clean, it's really simple, and it's pretty much that. It's like I said at the beginning of the video, you maybe met someone or you just had this feeling that something was gonna happen. Maybe you had a feeling you were gonna get a promotion. Maybe like me, you had a feeling you were gonna get fired. It could be anything. I want you guys to think about times when maybe you've been walking home and it was dark and you see someone walking in the opposite direction coming towards you, and you just get that feeling that you need to cross the street. That is your intuition. So another way that you can think about intuition is when you have a thought, but it has a bit of a physical match to it. So you have a thought, oh, I need to cross the street, this person seems off. But it's not just your head that's saying it, it's like your body too. It's like your body is like, go, go, go. Your body's pushing you. Another common thing is a gut feeling. That might be a term that's more familiar to you. And they call it a gut feeling because I don't know about you, but I really feel it in my gut. You know, well, let's keep that example of crossing the street. You see this person coming towards you and your gut just goes, ooh, it gets a little bit tight. That is your intuition trying to keep you safe. Intuition can also come when you're trying to choose between various options. Let's say you have a job opportunity at home and you also got a job opportunity that would require moving to a new city. Your intuition might help guide you and say, yes, you need to stay put, or no, you need to go and experience something new. Your intuition is just, I think, like a combination of what your heart wants as well as what your body knows will help keep you safe or guide you to the right point. So there's definitely an element of spirituality when it comes to intuition. Like I used the crossing the street example, that is more about safety, but there can also be that intuition of guiding you along your right path in life, I believe, and guiding you towards maybe like a higher purpose or guiding you where you're meant to be, whatever that means to you. So I can go on and on with so many examples of intuition. I have had so many cases over the years where I just felt like I predicted things. I can give you one quick, really strong example. Was I was in a relationship that I was not happy in, but my mind thought I needed to stay in that relationship. I thought I needed that relationship to be happy, to keep me safe, you name it. I remember watching a video of Sam Oscarell actually, and she said, you know, whatever decision you have to make, the answer is in your heart, it's in your body. And I think that's intuition. To me, that's intuition. And in that moment when I watched that video all those years ago, my whole body went, you gotta break up with this guy. And I waited. I didn't do it right away. I did not listen to my intuition, and things came crashing down around me later. Usually you'll see that when you ignore your intuition, whatever it was trying to tell you still happens, because I believe that your intuition can predict the future. So with that little intro, I don't know if I made things more clear or more confusing. I would definitely advise you to maybe read up on intuition a little bit more, but I hope that this story time that I'm about to tell you will actually just help paint a picture and maybe give you a better understanding. So in the winter of 2019, I accepted a new job, and I pretty much had to choose between three choices: staying at my current job that I really hated, accepting another job that seemed cool and seemed intriguing, but the pay wasn't that good and the career progression wasn't as good, and choosing this third job that seemed exciting and seemed fun and had like great career growth and salary and benefits. And it seems like an obvious choice, but at the time I was really torn between all three. I was in a very messy headspace. And I ended up following my intuition and choosing the third job. I mean, it's an obvious choice, but here's really where the intuition comes into play. I just had a feeling when I accepted that job, a voice inside my head was saying, this isn't going to be for that long. This isn't a forever type of job. We'll see how long this lasts. And not in a bad way, but my intuition just knew that this was like a step along my journey and not the end destination. I think at the time I was looking for more of an end destination because I was so unhappy, but my intuition knew that, okay, you can take this job now, but it's not gonna be forever. Fast forward a year and a half later, I get offered a new job at a startup. And it's funny because when I think back, I'm like, where were you now, intuition? Where were you now to help me out? Because all I felt was excitement for this job. I was really excited, super passionate. I really, really wanted this job. I cannot say otherwise. I cannot even say that I had my intuition come in and be like, don't accept this job. It's not the right choice. So from what I believe then, well, I guess taking this job was the right choice, even though they ended up letting me go. So over the months, things at my job started out really great and then progressively got worse and worse. And we don't need to go into all of the details about that, but I could just tell that something was up. I could tell that my bosses weren't happy with me. And keep in mind, actually, I should have mentioned this, we were only 3 people, the 2 founders and myself. And I could just tell they weren't happy with me. They were a lot more hands off. The feedback was a lot less like guiding and more just like direct. Like I didn't feel like they were shaping me into anything. I felt like I was getting to dead ends. And I started getting really bad anxiety. And I think my anxiety is very much tied into my intuition. I think it's like my whole body telling me like something's not right. And that's the thing, and that's a video for another time of like separating intuition and anxiety. I think here the two kind of got fused together, but bear with me. So things aren't going so well, and I'm trying really hard to turn it around, and months are going by. Now, it's November or December at this point. No, it was November, definitely November. It's November, and I am feeling so low, just not great. How do I turn this around? What am I doing? I felt like I was really like hitting those dead ends. I just knew as well. My intuition knew that my bosses were not happy with me. And I would speak about it with my best friend, and I would speak about it with my boyfriend, and they were like, no, it's just your anxiety. Like, no, 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 no. You know, you're crazy. They're not mad at you. It's all in your head. And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think so. And it was nothing that my friends could soothe. It was nothing that self-talk could soothe. It was nothing that positive affirmations could soothe. It was really just this gut feeling that like they weren't happy with me and I was no longer in the right place. So in November, I get a meeting put onto my calendar called Business Update. And it was late at night that the meeting got put on my calendar. It was right before bed. And my whole stomach went into a knot. I can still remember that feeling. And I saw it and I just knew something's not right. Something's not right. But I didn't want to speak it into existence. So I went to bed. I didn't tell anyone about it. Usually I'm the type that like when something happens that bothers me, I'm like texting someone, calling someone, like, very dramatic, I guess, because I don't like to let things like fester. But this I chose to ignore because I just said to myself, you're being crazy. You're being crazy. It's just your anxiety. So that meeting was booked, let's say on Tuesday for Friday. And I was like, oh God, I'm going to spend the whole week like dreading this meeting. And the reason my stomach went in a knot in that meeting is because when I saw the title, Business Update, we've never had a meeting titled Business Update before. It was so far out of the realm of what our normal meetings were called that I just knew something was up. And as soon as I got that email, I said, I'm getting fired. I'm getting fired. I just knew it. So it kept bothering me, and finally I told my boyfriend about it. I was like, I think I'm getting fired. And he was like, you're insane. Impossible. They can't just fire you like that. That's not how it works. Told my best friend, you're insane. They can't just fire you like that. That's not how it works. And then all of a sudden, the meeting gets taken off my calendar with a note, sorry, have to reschedule. Phew. Oh my gosh, I was so relieved. I really thought I was getting fired. Okay, I'm relieved now. So I start feeling better for maybe a couple of days, and then things get worse again. And things start getting so bad that even though that meeting was no longer on my calendar, I just had this voice in my head saying, you're gonna get fired, Zoe. You're gonna get fired, Zoe. You're gonna get fired, Zoe. And it was so different from that, like what I would call like classic, like millennial or Gen Z fear of getting fired. Like I've had that too, where it's like, oh my God, I sent the email wrong. Like I'm gonna get fired. But this was like my whole body just felt it. And I had to stop talking to my friends about it because like they just didn't believe me. And I felt like I was going crazy. I should have just like been calm and listened to my intuition. And like now in hindsight, obviously, but no, I didn't listen. So I start feeling more and more like total shit, if I'm just gonna be blunt. And I start thinking, well, should I quit before they fire me? Like maybe they're not gonna get fired me, but I'm so scared that like this just isn't a positive working environment anymore. I can't do it anymore, blah, blah, blah. And another incident happened where I asked for some time off, and where normally they would say yes or no, they said, we'll discuss it next week, because we had a meeting, a new meeting, something totally different. It wasn't the business update anymore. It was a meeting that I had put on the calendar, like a pre-holidays check-in. And they said, we'll discuss it at the pre-holidays check-in. I'm getting fired. I just knew it, because why wouldn't they approve my vacation or not approve it? Like it's either one or the other. It's not a discussion point. So I knew something was up. The Monday of the week that I had scheduled that check-in, I had spent a whole weekend just like fussing, stomach in a knot, just thinking like on Monday, they're either gonna fire me or I am gonna have to quit, because this is like, I felt like I was drowning in anxiety, and like it was beyond anything I'd ever felt. It was really so strong. So the Monday comes, and from there, you guys know the story. I book a meeting to tell my manager that I'm not feeling well, like mentally. And some people will comment or have commented and been like, that was your first mistake. You're never supposed to admit weakness. I do not believe in that. I feel like I was right in what I was doing, was to open up to somebody and tell them how I was feeling. And when I did that, they didn't even really let the words get out of my mouth. They just said like, yeah, we've been wanting to talk to you. We're restructuring. We have to let you go. So, you know, I cry, I get off the phone, pick up the phone, call my best friend. They let me go. You know what she says? You knew it. And I was like, yeah, I knew it. So you guys, that is my story time on how I literally predicted the future and how I was going to get fired. Now, there's obviously counter arguments. You could say that like I got myself fired because I was so scared, but I really just believe that like I knew, my intuition knew, and it was guiding me. Like my intuition knew because it was the right thing. I needed to get out of that job. It was not healthy for me. Like I needed to pursue other paths and other passions. And I just think that it happened because like the universe knew I wasn't going to do it myself. I was too scared to quit. I was too scared to pursue other things. So I think that the universe just did it for me and that my intuition was getting me ready for this change. So you guys can imagine getting laid off is a really scary thing. And I had a really hard time with it. But honestly, I've pretty much like, I feel like I've bounced back pretty well, pretty quickly, all things considered. And I don't think I would have bounced back that quickly were it not for the fact that I trusted my intuition, knowing that this was going to happen. And because I like had that intuition, knowing and trusting that this was the right thing for me. So that's my story. I would love to hear in the comments your thoughts on that. If you've ever had something similar happen to you, you know, does that remind you of something that happened and maybe you didn't know it was your intuition? Like, please, please, please share them with me in the comments. I would love to read those. And now for the next part of the video, I just want to talk quickly about some tips on trusting your intuition, on sharpening like your radio signals, I guess you could say, for your intuition so that you can start to get really in tune and know and like use it to your advantage, kind of like I did in a really shitty situation. And actually on that note, let me be clear that your intuition can like guide you towards beautiful things too. Like I gave the example of guiding me towards a breakup, but I think it can also guide you towards love or towards friendship. Like you might feel drawn to a certain person and think like, oh, I just really think we'd be good friends. And trust that. Follow your intuition and go make efforts to be friends with that person. If you have a crush on someone and like your whole body is telling you yes, like go put that crush into action, you know, like intuition is really helpful for when you're on a fine line trying to make a decision and you don't know which way to go. Tune inwards. We're going to talk about how, but tune inwards, find that feeling and let it guide you. Greatest example actually I can think of right now is like, you know, that classic like, oh, I'm friends with this person and I'm kind of starting to develop feelings for them. Should I go for it? Your intuition will tell you whether or not you should go for it. So the number one thing for starting to learn how to trust your intuition is awareness. It's literally like, now that you've watched this video, you're gonna be so aware of it. I'm about to mess you guys all up, but do you remember that game we used to play as kids where the whole game was not thinking about the game and now I just lost the game? If you know, you know. But that's like intuition too. You'll start just like feeling it and keep aware. Watch videos like this one that you're watching right now that I'm making. There's gonna be so much more. Watch those kinds of videos, tune into it, and just be aware of it. And you can practice. That's my next tip, is practice. You know, let's say you're going out for a walk, you're walking your dog or you're walking by yourself. Like make it a spiritual experience and be like, okay, do I go right or left? And see if your body tells you which way to go. And then as you follow which way your body is telling you to go, look at your surroundings and see if you can notice something beautiful and make that connection of like, wow, my body told me to go left and now I'm seeing this old beautiful house that I've never seen before on my walk. Start small like that. I also want you guys to pay attention to perhaps times in the past or times that may be coming up where you've ignored your intuition or you've ignored that gut feeling and thought, man, I should have listened to that, you know? Like, I'm trying to think of an example, but you know, maybe you're signing up and you're choosing classes and you have a harder professor and an easier professor. And you chose to go with the easier professor, even though something inside of you said, maybe I should go with the harder professor. And then you find out that the people who are in the harder professors class like had really stimulating lectures and really learned stuff, where in the easier professors class, like you just went on your phone the whole time. And you can, okay, ugh, that's annoying. But remember that. And remember the feeling you had when you were being drawn towards that harder class. And next time, be aware of that and listen. That's how we learn. There's still times when like I don't listen to my intuition. Intuition says stay home tonight, and I give in and I go out and I am like, ugh, I don't want to be here. I want to be at home in my bed. Perfect example of listening, maybe ignoring, and learning from your mistake. And these are not detrimental mistakes. They're really fine mistakes to make, and then you'll just sharpen that sensor for your intuition and be able to learn from it. And I really think that it will lead you quicker on your path. Like, we all have a path. It's going to lead you along that path to, I don't think there's an end destination, but just keep you on your path, keep you living like a happier, more fulfilled, more calm life when you can just look inwards for the answers to those decisions you're trying to make. The other thing in terms of the like psychic aspect or like predicting the future is, if you have these feelings that you can kind of predict the future, you can rest more easy knowing that you've made the right decision. You can say like, okay, my intuition says that this is the right class for me to sign up to. I'm not going to worry about how hard this professor is rumored to be. I'm going to sit comfortably with my decision. And that's the kind of like life you'll have moving forward, is sitting more comfortably. So every day when I sit at home and I'm like, oh, I got fired, I don't have any money, I don't have a job, I remember that like I knew this was going to happen. My intuition guided me towards like getting through this tough time, and it's all for like a bigger picture purpose. It's all because it was meant to happen. There's so much more I could talk about on this topic. I feel like I could go on for hours and hours, but that is my initial story time and initial tips. Please, you guys, let me know in the comments if this is a subject you would like to learn more about, and I can definitely make more videos on it. Also, if you have like specific intuition questions, leave them down below so that I can answer them, or if it's like a video specific recommendation, leave it down below as well. Okay, this was definitely a bit different than my normal videos, but I really, really hope you enjoyed it. I loved filming this, so I can't wait to do more. Until the next video, just tune in. Tune in and let me know how it goes. You can keep up with me in my vlogs and keep me posted in the comments there of your journey following your intuition, and we will talk very, very soon. I love you so much, and I'll see you in my next video.